De man die in 2014 in de finale van het PDC Jeugd WK stond. Afkomstig uit Oostenrijk, de nummer 45 van de wereldranglijst. Geef hem een hartelijk applaus. Little John, Robbie John Rodriguez. De tegenstander van Robbie John is een ervaren man op de grote podiums. Sterker nog, hij heeft een aantal grote titels op zijn naam staan. In 2013 won hij de Zuiderduin Masters en in 2014 de World Trophy. Uit Engeland, de Jammy Dodger, James Wilson.
Just look at that man's face. He is as happy as a Labrador with two tails. James Wilson, the Jammy Dodger, a man whose joy cannot be contained during his walk-on. Now, business time though. Straight down to business for the Jammy Dodger, Lethal Biscuit, as he takes on Robbie John Rodriguez, one of the many RJ Rods, the second from the clan, with his fancy sleeve tattoo, which is a bit sort of snakes and ladders-y. I'm not really sure what it is. But RJ Rod, fantastically talented young man from Austria. Not been a great season for him, it has to be said. Had a run at the German Darts Masters, made the final day. But other than that, in terms of Euro Tour stuff, well, we saw him in his native country of Austria, went out in the first round. That's the only time we've seen him since that German Darts Masters run, way back in April. So Robbie John has got a huge amount of work to do if he's going to go on and make the European Championships again, which is, of course, the scene of his best run, the big PDC televised tournament. He made the last 16 there before he kind of capitulated against Big Hendo, who's just chucked in the finest 138 checkout you will ever see to win a game of darts, and booking his place in the second round of the Dutch Darts Masters.
Ladies and gentlemen, first leg is James to throw first. Game on.
And it is the Jammy Dodger to kick things off. I'm Dan Dawson, Paul Nicholson alongside me for this one.
Yeah, Jammy Dodger, one happy fella every single day of the week. And twice at Christmas. But I've got to say, Robbie John has not been his darting self
41.
This season, but he hasn't been himself off the ucky either. And I think that's played a very big part in his form. I mean, look at his walk-on. Good start, though. Robbie John Rodriguez, when he came on the scene and made the final of the World Youth Championship, lost to Keegan Brown, he was boisterous. He wanted to get in people's faces. He wanted to be Mr. Attitude. Nothing wrong with that. But look at him now. He looks somber.
Is it kind of self-reflexive, though, isn't it? You know, you're not winning games. You're not particularly happy playing darts.
100.
You go into tournaments not expecting to go and win or make waves. And that kind of feeds into it. And, you know, if you're not enjoying yourself, it's difficult to produce your best stuff. And then it all just spirals down and down.
It's a learning curve. Let's face it, he's still a young man.
Very young. He's only 23.
Yeah. Everybody goes through stages of not being too happy. But what we have to focus on is the fact that he's not only qualified for this, he's actually started this game really well.
Yeah.
And taking out Michael Rastovitz and Renee Adams by the same score of 6-2 yesterday, that suggests to me that he's playing really well.
120.
Now that is a concern for James
Really
Wilson. It's one of those
require
weird
128.
bounce outs he seems to get for no particular reason. Oh.
Game
my.
John, the first leg.
Roby John Rodriguez, 12 darts.
Second leg is Roby to
And
throw
a
first.
huge 1-2-8
Game
checkout.
on.
Not bad at all. And if you keep playing like this, just don't smile. Just keep winning. It's a bit like Dory in Finding Nemo. Just keep winning. Just keep winning.
135.
I was wondering when we were going to have the first bit of singing in commentary. Well, the winner of this one goes through to face Michael Smith,
43.
four-time Euro Tour winner. Only Peter Wright and Michael van Gerwen have more Euro Tour titles to their names. Winner, of course, earlier on this season, Michael Smith.
48.
Gibraltar.
Final between Van Gerwen and Smith, the best game on the Euro Tour this year, you think?
Well, it depends what criteria you're going by. I think the one that really sticks in my
81.
mind was that final between Peter Wright and Benito van der Pas, where Benito averaged 110. Peter Wright missed one dart at double and managed somehow to win the title. But
95.
in terms of Van Gerwen and Smith, I mean, they knocked lumps out of each other. We've seen fantastic games between those guys, particularly on the European Tour stages. Of course, two of Smith's titles have been won beating Van Gerwen in the final.
137.
I think these tournaments just throw up such superb matches, particularly in the latter stages, that we've been spoilt for choice this year and indeed the entire time we've been streaming these events for great games.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Michael Smith is this weekend. He's never been to Australia and New Zealand before, and he's never had to suffer the jet lag coming back.
And I think he'll be disappointed with his showing out there as well, because
60.
with no MVG there, it's a
Maybe
huge
require
opportunity for
89.
everybody. And the two that I looked at and felt that they're coming away disappointed would be Peter Wright and Michael Smith. But Roby John won't be disappointed with the start he's making to this, because double 16,
57.
two lined up outside. Wilson not on a finish, back on 180. But Roby John, 12 darter to kick off with. Missed darts there for a 14 or a 15 darter. This is a very, very
100.
strong start. And Roby John,
require 32.
my main criticism of Roby John is not that he's not a good dart player, because he is, because he can play like this, and we've seen him do it on a number of occasions. It's that he doesn't have much of a B game.
Game
He's
shot,
going
the
like
second
this,
leg.
or
Roby
it's
John
just not
Rodriguez.
happening at all for him.
The leg
And he
is
finds it
James
very
to throw
difficult
first.
to grind out
Game on.
games. But here, despite the fact he looks like somebody's just run over his dog, he's actually playing very, very well.
98.
Couldn't agree more. Roby John has proved with statistics and performances that he's played on a Friday in the European Tour and played exceptionally
140.
well. And then he's come back the next day and averaged something like 74.
Yeah, it's the consistency, and it tends to be the main problem in young players' games, isn't it? We see what they can do, and the
43.
standard on the youth tour in some games is phenomenal, and yet it's then doing it game after game after game, and you're seeing players like, say for example, Dimitri Vandenberg, who is now starting to get
58.
better and find ways of winning games when he's not playing his absolute best, or he's putting together a string of very good performances and going deeper into senior tournaments.
I think for Dimitri Vandenberg, the key was playing Adam Hunt
60.
about 4 times a week.
Yeah,
On the youth tour, the European tour, he's playing all the time. And the sheer amount of darts that Dimitri was playing, Pro Tour, Youth Tour, stuff during the week,
57.
consistency was going to come for that boy, and he's not here this weekend, but I'm sure we'll see him this month at some point.
I'm sure we will.
55.
It's not happening for Jamie Dodger as of yet, but he will know. Given the opportunity, he can sprint.
140.
But Roby John, very impressed so far.
He's bossing this game at the minute, isn't he? Yet to see a ton 40 plus score from Lethal Biscuit. This might be one, because it looks inviting. Oh, yes.
180.
it's even better.
Maybe you require 106.
conventionally, treble 20. 14. Double 16.
90.
Ooh, just a bit too much gas on
Games
that one.
require 65.
So now, what's he going to do? Is it going to be a 25? A lot of people nowadays are using treble 11 a lot more. That's why. Now he's got only one shot at a double. That double is double 6.
59. Roby requires 16.
Well, that's his first dart at a double in this game, largely because Roby John Rodriguez has just been in control. And this, 3-0 lead. It's close.
Game shot.
That
the
is
third
there.
leg. Roby John.
3-0 with a second break
Four
of
legs for Roby to
throw.
throw first.
And Roby John Rodriguez, the young Austrian, is halfway to a meeting with Michael Smith.
If I was a wealthy man, I would pay a lot of money to get inside
80.
the head of Roby John Rodriguez right now, just to find out what he's thinking.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I think back to when I first saw Roby in action on a big stage, and it was in his home country in Austria a few years back.
140.
It was the year that Vincent van der Voort won the Austrian Darts Open. In fact, that was the tournament where Max Hopp, as the other time he averaged 100, beaten by Terry Jenkins. Talking about that earlier on.
140.
And he played Robert Thornton, and he really annoyed Thornton. He was in his face. He was celebrating everything. He was all over the stage, bouncing around. He could not contain his excitement. Thorne didn't like it. Thorne hated it. He was
45.
riled up. It was fantastic to watch. It is chalk and cheese. That performance and this one here. And yet,
81.
he's playing some very good darts. And I don't know if this is just a new thing. Maybe John Rodriguez just trying to contain his emotions, or maybe
100.
maybe he's just in a mood, maybe having a sulk, I don't know. But he's playing in front of 1,000 people right now. It has filled up this evening, hasn't it, compared to this afternoon?
Certainly has.
And it's going to be rammed tomorrow. And at this rate,
140.
Roby John Rodriguez is going to be back tomorrow playing in front of nigh on 5,000 people. And
If I
taking
were-
on Michael Smith.
If I was RJ, I would look at this performance and think, well, what am I doing that is
128.
enhancing this performance? The thing
Roby
is,
requires 60.
I don't care what's happening underneath. It's the whole duck thing. It could be beating underneath the water. What's he doing? It's a good guide. Now can he hit it?
20.
No.
James, you require
He doesn't seem
88.
fazed by that.
Yeah.
No disappointment.
You can understand players, when you want 20 for tops, you stick one near the double top. Oh dear. Well, you can still do this. 87 left, so treble 17 a bit of shot. Not to be.
Just get the feeling that maybe there's a
38.
little bit of ring rust on
Roby
this
requires
stage
40.
at certain times.
And even that last dart from James Wilson, he's chucked it in the 20.
Game shot on the fourth leg. Roby John Rodriguez.
Very strange that from
But
James
like it's
Wilson. He's not a
James
guy
to
who
throw
throws
first.
darts away or
Game
just
on.
gives up on that. I mean, he's right in that leg. You know, no guarantee. Roby John Rodriguez just chucked one out the board. No guarantee he's going to hit tops.
We do on occasion get the odd weird game.
Yeah, this
And
is
this is
one.
very
97.
weird. It's almost like we're in a different dimension. There's a hush amongst the crowd and backstage, and I feel very odd watching this.
I've never seen Roby John Rodriguez go
87.
4 legs up on anybody with barely a flicker of celebration. Roby John Rodriguez can be 4 legs behind and he hits 140 and he gives it some. Very
94.
curious evening here in Mastery.
Yeah, especially when we saw more celebration work from Ulf Seder earlier.
The magical darting unicorn Ulf Seder.
140.
Are you on some sort of mission to get Jammy Dodger changed to the Lethal Biscuit?
I
108.
think it fits. I'm not a massive fan of the Jammy Dodger nickname, I have to say.
Apart from the obvious copyright infringement.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Good counting from
104.
RJ Rodriguez.
James, you require 130.
Gives himself a chance just in case James Wilson can't take this out. Got to go for it.
52.
Now.
Ruby, you require
Ruby John Rodriguez has a
170.
realistic chance of winning this leg now. Not just because he's got 170, but James Wilson didn't put a huge hole in his shot.
90.
Well, gets one
James
treble, and that
requires 78.
might be enough. James Wilson has only been allowed, what, one dart at double in this entire match. He's only going to get one more here. Double top. Oh, and he's moved slightly to the right to get out of the way of the dart. It's gone in a dead straight line and into the double one. Oh, it's good. It's
Game shot on the
very,
fifth
very
leg.
good. And
Ruby
Roby John Rodriguez, 5-0.
Sixth leg is Ruby
Oh,
to
my
throw
hands up.
first.
I don't know what the odds were
Aim
at the
on.
start of this game. I would have probably said James Wilson was the favourite. He's certainly higher in the world rankings. He had a better season than Roby John Rodriguez. But the odds of a RJ Rod 6-0
100.
would have been big. And we are in a very realistic position of seeing that, because James Wilson is 10 points behind on the averages. He's been allowed 2 darts at double, and he's just not been at the races.
92.
But if Ruby wins this match, actually, even if he doesn't, over the first 5 legs, whatever you're thinking, the preparation you did, bottle it right now and just copy what you've done.
78.
Because it's working. He looks calm, composed. It's out of character, but I tell you what, it's good.
Well, you can't argue with the darts he's produced. I have to say, I'm a big fan of Roby John
100.
Rodriguez getting up people's nose and getting in their faces and running around the place. Maybe he will. Maybe if he hits a winning double here and wins it 6-0, he'll go full Dean Winstanley and tear off backstage. You won't see him for 5 minutes.
Might do the
57.
Wayne model and run around the whole arena.
He might do. I mean, it's a big arena, to be fair. I'm not sure Mardle could manage that.
He'd have to be Wade Van Niekerk, one of my favourite athletes.
125.
Well, you got to get your thinking cap on here. Single 20. Now you got to go downstairs. 419, so leave a 170.
58.
Now, James Wilson, 6 starts from 184 to get on the board and start the very long journey back.
$140.
Well, leaves in the Motown shot, 4 tops. But Roby John is going to be somewhere close. Yeah.
140.
Breathing down his
Adrian
neck.
Wire,
68 for a
44.
6-0 whitewash, unless Wilson can take this out. Well, he's going 12 for double 16.
Game shot on
And
the
there it
sixth
is.
leg. James
It's
Wilson.
only his 3rd dart at double in this
Seven
match,
legged
but he finally
James
hits
to throw
one.
first.
5-1. And it is a breaker throw as well.
And I think that's a little bit of a change of tactic.
Game on.
I think because things haven't gone his way, he usually would have gone 4 tops. But he realises that things haven't been peachy, so he goes a slightly different route, and it worked. So 1 leg down, 5 to go. And he's
80.
another mystery bounce out there.
Yeah, he did change his darts, James Wilson, and it was largely to try and combat this issue with weird bounce outs. His darts seemingly going in
134.
at strange angles. We've seen him change his flight setup and various things, but he thought he tackled this problem. And I think, to be fair, he's not getting them with quite the regularity that we used to see,
56.
but it's still a couple of darts that have cost him in this, that he's lost in this match, and it might have been the difference between a leg or 2 here or there. And,
I completely agree with you. I think the bounce out thing has
100.
largely been extinguished, and it just so happens that he's had a couple in this match, but in other matches that he's played previously, he used to get about 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah, it really was an issue.
137.
Despite that, we have seen him have a couple of runs this year. He had a semi-final on the Pro Tour. He had a quarter-final in Gibraltar. Played some good darts in Gibraltar until he ran into his mate Darryl Gurney, as I recall, and they had an awful game where it was just too
97.
nicey, wasn't it? No killer instinct.
Darryl Gurney's actually in the crowd tonight watching
He
this
is. He
game.
cheered. They had a very awkward sort of high five, which they aborted halfway through. Couldn't quite manage it on the walk-on.
Is it one of those failed
60.
high fives that you find on a GIF?
Ruby
Yeah,
require
it was kind of that.
170.
And unfortunately for James Wilson, things haven't got much better for him since he got on stage since then. They might be about to get a lot worse. Well, the 170 isn't going to go, but Wilson on a bogey number. So even 1 treble
58.
Doesn't get it. However, it's only a one treble finish for Roby John Rodriguez to see this off 6-1.
When he wins this match, it'll be a very interesting conversation with Jack.
Yeah.
92.
Well,
Review
he can win it in this visit.
112.
And he's going to get a dart. Oh, no, he isn't. Misses the big number. Wanted single 12.
80.
And then
James
he's changed his
Gregoire,
mind anyway to go
76.
for double 16. It might not be over.
It might not. There was no emotion from RJ when he missed that single. Will there be emotion from James Wilson if he hits tops? It's not there.
56.
So the poker face
Review required
Roby John
32.
Rodriguez in this match. 3 darts in hand for double 16, and he is the one going through to play Michael Smith, the number 5 seed.
Double 16 it is. Lining them up outside.
16.
And one inside as well.
20.
3 match darts missed by RJ Rod 2. It's a long way off. That's very close. And that
James
is
Shaw on the
where it
seventh
needs
leg.
to be.
James Wilson.
5-0
Thanks for Roby to
becomes
throw
5-1
first.
and now
Game on.
5-2.
And if you're Roby John, that annoys you because you know that one's a long way away. He's wired one, and he nicks it with the
58.
third dart. You just think, right, give me one more shot. Well, RJ, he didn't get it, so you've got to work all the way back from a 501 to 0 again.
100.
Well, I mean, they're all important legs because Wilson knows he has to win every single one of them. But this one is particularly interesting because
140.
a break of throw here, Wilson would be favourite to win the one after, and then the gap is only 1, and it's 4 legs on the spin that RJ Rudders. And there'll be a little voice in the back of his head saying exactly that to him. He knows that.
108.
And a maximum from James Wilson, his third of this match, means that there is a realistic chance that this could happen. Needs 2 treble 19s to get to a finish. Oh, okay.
I think you put it really well,
93.
Dan. When you break it down, it seems very possible.
That's it. It's only little steps, but he's already got 1. And look at this.
139.
James Wilson. We have seen this plenty of times before, where a player looks completely dead and buried, and they seem to just, it frees them up a bit. They think, well, look, the game's gone. And there was a time early on in this
96.
match where James Wilson
James
threw a
Gregoire,
single 20 to
82.
leave 50, which I have no idea why he did it. You don't see James Wilson do that kind of thing.
Well, this has got to go because RJ could easily take out that 114.
Right, it's 1 dart at tops. And it's a
James on
12
the
darter
eighth
for
leg.
James Wilson, and
Wilson.
things are looking very different now.
Ninth leg is James to throw first.
Checkouts of
Game on.
44, 20, and now 82 for James Wilson for that 12 dart leg. His average is now up into the 90s. There is only 3 points in the averages now. Dear.
26.
But he's only kicked off 26, and unfortunately for James Wilson, when you do go 5-0 down in a race to 6, it's visits like that which could prove to be a fatal mistake, although it's not really being punished.
100.
Great last dart from Roby John.
I think in this situation now, we're about to find out what really is going on the head of Roby John. How strong does he feel? How much doubt is in that
140.
brain of his right now? And so far, he looks great from the outside. I think he's played very well here.
Yeah, he's not sustained the level from the early part of the game.
140.
I mean, maybe Roby John has just taken his foot off the accelerator a bit. But it's very difficult to read. Usually, he's just such an easy person to read when he's up on stage. When he's winning, he's
78.
bouncing around all over the place. If it's tight, he's usually in the face of their opponent. If he's getting beaten, then the shoulders do slump, and you have seen him capitulate in games.
Well, in poker terms, he's gone from being Phil Hellmuth, who shows you everything, to Johnny Chan, who shows you nothing. But this is a very good
139.
leg at the right time for Roby John. He's putting pressure on the Lethal Biscuit. All of a sudden, James Wilson needs them all. Oh, he hates that one. But he likes that one.
121. Ready, you require 122.
A little bit of steel in the Jammy Dodger, isn't there? Oh, now it's a 3. That's the end of
25 would have
that.
left 97. A lot more people are doing that these days if they
82.
like tops.
James, you require 136.
Some shot, this. Not going to happen. Roby John Rodriguez has already missed 3 match starts. They were at double 16. This
60.
time, he gets 3 at tops.
Ready, you require 40.
Double 10.
Game
And that
shot.
will do
Win
the job.
match.
And Roby John
Roby John
Rodriguez,
Rodriguez.
not even a flicker of emotion on the young Austrian's face. A shake of the hand, and it's a 6-3 win. And a strangely subdued Roby John Rodriguez books his place in the second round to take on the bully boy Michael Smith. Only got off the plane from down under on Tuesday. We will see if RJ Rod 2 can take advantage of a potentially fatigued number 5 seed Michael Smith. He goes through. We'll hear from him now. And coming up, it is Kyle Anderson, your Auckland darts master, against the forced Justin Pipe.
It was a different Rowie than the Rowie I'm used to.
Yes, it was.
The obvious question is why?
Sometimes you have to take it serious now. Yeah. Sometimes you have to take it serious.
Well, it worked for a long part of the match. The first 5 legs, you steamed through it. Then James came back at you. Were you panicking at a certain point?
No, it doesn't matter if I won the first 5 legs. I was just, from the straight on, I was thinking play your own game, and it doesn't matter what happens. Just play your own game.
Well, you've played your own game, you've won your own game, which means you'll be back tomorrow for another game. Dames en heren, hem zien we morgen terug, Roby John Rodriguez. En dat betekent dat we even een korte pauze gaan houden, 4 wedstrijden.